大家不要再骂我了，是我蠢，是我笨，是我没脑子，不要再骂我了，我已经很崩溃了。我发出来只是想拿这个例子给大家做一个经验和教训，我没有别的想法。明天会晒回去的，不要再骂我了，我真的已经很难过了。我被杀猪盘了，被诈骗20万。
I was scammed. It was a typical pig butchering scam, and I lost a total of 200,000 yuan. Perhaps many people would think that, as a 35-year-old leftover woman, I must have been fooled by the scammer's image of being a so-called tall, rich, and handsome. But I must say, the reality was nothing like that. This scammer was only 1.59 meters tall, had only a junior high school education, had been divorced, and already had a child, but the child was raised by his ex-wife. He didn't have a house, only a car. You could say, he had no attractive qualities in terms of external conditions. But I still got scammed. Not because he was outstanding, but because I was too anxious. I was too eager to get married, too desperate for a family, too desperate to have children. It was precisely this emotion that made me lose my rationality and fall into this trap. Today I came to Suzhou, planning to report this to the local police. If there is a case filing receipt later, I will also share the full details of how I was scammed, hoping to serve as a warning for more people. It's already the end of the month now, and I don't even have money to pay my mortgage. I'm penniless. So tired.
好像是被杀猪盘了。
Today I saw another leftover woman sharing her experience. She seemed to have just fallen victim to a pig butchering scam and lost a total of 200,000 yuan. She even showed the incident receipt just issued by the police. She said she had just rushed back to Jiaxing from Suzhou, and now she's penniless because of the scam. Watching her speak tearfully in front of the camera to her sisters, I couldn't help but sigh. Weren't you once boasting about being protected by a soaring eagle? And now, you've fallen into the trap of a pig butchering scam? You said you were looking for a tall, rich, and handsome man. I understand that. Who doesn't want a man with better conditions? But the problem is, your standards now have dropped to a ridiculous level, haven't they? Have leftover women really started competing with each other this desperately? You actually chose a man who's only 1.59 meters tall, divorced, with a child. The key point is, he doesn't even have a car or a house, and has no savings. What's even more shocking is that his education level is only junior high school. You, a woman with a master's degree, have now started to lower your standards that much? Are you telling me that now you're willing to accept a man who's under 1.6 meters tall, has no house, no car, no savings, divorced with a kid, and with a junior high school education or even lower? Not only that, you're even paying for him, even giving him a 50,000 yuan bride price? Sister, we leftover women shouldn't be competing with each other like this. You say you want a tall, rich, and handsome man. I have no objection. But the man you're dating now doesn't even meet basic requirements. A woman who was once protected by a soaring eagle, how could she fall in love with a little sparrow? Just because he handed you a bottle of water, a steamed bun, or a piece of clothing during your most anxious moment, you were completely moved? You dropped all your guard and gave away your entire 200,000 yuan savings to him? You've really lost face for all us leftover women. Sure enough, only a scammer can fulfill all your desires. Leftover sisters, wake up.
某大龄单身硕士女网红被杀猪盘骗了20万。
A woman in her mid-30s with a master's degree recently fell victim to a pig butchering scam and lost a total of 200,000 yuan. What's even more astonishing is that this so-called romantic partner was not the tall, rich, and handsome type many people imagined. He was just a man with only a junior high school education, 1.59 meters tall, divorced, and with a child. Such conditions are not just lacking in appeal, they're completely unremarkable. But she was still deceived. Why? Many people don't understand. In fact, the problem wasn't how skillful the man was, but how anxious she herself was. Marriage, childbirth, building a family. This overwhelming desire often leads people to lose their rationality. Especially as age increases and societal pressure mounts, this kind of mentality becomes very easy for scammers to exploit. That's why I often advise girls, stop fantasizing about marrying a perfect man. In reality, a man who is diligent, has a stable income, is willing to care for you, and doesn't have any loans besides a car loan or a mortgage, is already a pretty good choice. Girls, you really shouldn't aim too high. In real life, many men who appear to be doing well on the surface often have a ton of problems behind the scenes. You think he looks impressive driving a fancy car? That car might be under a loan or even rented. He seems carefree and stylish. He might not even have a proper job and is buried in debt. If you can't see through these appearances, it's easy to fall into a deep pit. Honestly, if a girl can find a sincere, ordinary man and live a stable life, she's already surpassed 70% of households in this country. Life isn't tight, you can eat what you want, buy what you need, that is happiness. Really, if you're not starving or freezing and have the basic ability to spend, you're already doing pretty well. Why can't so many women find a partner? Why are so many women deceived? It's because they've been fooled by those scammers painting big dreams and they fall for the trap. Because only scammers can meet the high standards of leftover women. How many men can truly meet the high standards of these older single women? Even if there are any, they're just bragging. They're scammers. I know a female friend who originally had a pretty decent family life. The couple had saved over 600,000 yuan. Her husband was a programmer earning over 20,000 yuan a month, and she stayed at home resting after childbirth, not working. Life was actually quite stable. But she wasn't satisfied. She went online and met a handsome guy, completely enchanted by the so-called high-end lifestyle. This man took her to 5-star hotels, high-end restaurants, shopping sprees, and whispered sweet nothings every day, saying, "I'll give you a happy life." And what happened in the end? The man said he had a cash flow issue, then talked about some investment project, coaxing her into investing all their savings. She actually handed over that entire 600,000 yuan to him. At first, the man pretended to show her profit reports. She saw her account had increased by more than 400,000 yuan and was overjoyed. But when she tried to withdraw the money, she couldn't get a single cent. Only then did she realize it was a complete pig butchering scam. When her husband returned home, he found her in a completely devastated state. Her mental health collapsed, and she eventually ended up in the ICU for treatment. The couple ultimately divorced, and the man coldly said, "I'll take the loss, but that 600,000 yuan was our joint marital property. You at least need to return me 300,000 yuan." The woman had no choice but to return to her parents' home, sell everything she could, and scrape together the money to pay her ex-husband back. Tell me, was this ending worth it? She had a good, stable man by her side, but she insisted on chasing unrealistic fantasies and in the end destroyed everything. So I'll say it again, stop imagining that some tall, rich and handsome man out there will give you a better life. You need to look in the mirror and see who you really are. Even celebrities and influencers can be scammed into bankruptcy by those scammers. Do you really think you're immune? You're not a celebrity. Do you think there are that many tall, rich and handsome men lining up to pursue you? Why do so many pig butchering scams target women instead of men? Because most men are well aware of their own limitations. They know they're not attractive enough, and they don't believe beautiful women would be interested in them. The men who do get scammed are usually nouveau riche, suddenly rich and unaware, making them easy targets for gold diggers. Normal men, on the other hand, rarely get deceived. To be frank, many men are starting to become cautious too. Money doesn't necessarily have to be fully handed over to their wives. Some set up joint accounts, while others scrutinize every large expenditure carefully. After all, in real life, those who get scammed into bankruptcy by pig butchering schemes are indeed mostly women.
全国都出现了一波无法可破的顶级杀猪盘。
Nowadays, a highly deceptive form of advanced pig butchering scam is quietly spreading across the country. It's not only more sophisticated and upgraded in its tactics, but it specifically targets single women who are urgently seeking marriage, especially those who are mentally anxious and inclined toward materialism. This type of scam doesn't just aim for money. What's even more terrifying is that it also exploits emotions, and even involves physical relationships. It's a full-on love and money scam, upgrade version of pig butchering. Once the scammer makes a move, the techniques are more ruthless than robbery, and faster than theft, leaving people defenseless. What's most frustrating is that, by the time the victimized women finally realize they've been scammed, They want to report it to the police but lack enough evidence to file a case. If they try to sue, they find themselves trapped by contracts and clauses, making it nearly impossible to win. Once you fall into this trap, it's like stepping into an abyss. You go deeper with every step. There's no secret trick to escape it, only one solution: run fast enough. This trap may look simple on the surface, but it's deadly in nature. It often starts with a seemingly ordinary, blind date. The man is usually a well-dressed, handsome young guy, who appears overly attentive from the very beginning. Sweet talk, meticulous care. He brings you medicine when you catch a cold, ginger tea during your period, drives you to and from work, constantly gives gifts on holidays, comments and likes every post in your social circle. His behavior perfectly fits the ideal boyfriend template. You feel like you've finally met your Prince Charming and that fate is finally smiling on you. But once you're immersed in the sweetness of love, he starts pushing you step by step toward defining the relationship. He says he wants to settle down, says you should set a wedding date, says you should buy a house before marriage. He even takes the initiative to say, "I'll pay the down payment, I'll cover the mortgage, and the house title will only have your name. Even if we get divorced later, the house will still be yours." Doesn't that sound touching? Doesn't it feel like you've hit the jackpot? But this is the most fatal beginning of the scam. Once you're emotionally involved and start the process, signing the purchase contract, handling the loan procedures, right when everything is halfway through, the man suddenly changes face. He breaks up with various excuses and completely vanishes from your life. Phone turned off, WeChat blocked, all social media accounts disappear. And you, not only do you suffer the emotional cliff-fall impact, what's worse is, you're left to carry the burden of that house loan all by yourself. Yes, the bank doesn't care how true your love was, it only cares whose name is on the property deed. The loan belongs to whoever's name is there. The scammer easily walks away, while you're stuck with a 30-year mortgage. You might even get late payment records, damaging your credit score and ruining your financial credibility for life. What's most tragic is that many women, even after falling for such a scam, fall into self-doubt, wondering whether they did something wrong, feeling they lost a good man, and foolishly waiting for him to come back. But little do they know, this was all a highly organized scam, and the so-called wealthy and handsome boyfriend was nothing but a tool, a sales puppet trained specifically to harvest emotions through scripted conversations. The relationship was fake, the love was fake, only the loan is real. The essence of this scam is nothing but a packaged mortgage trap, from beginning to end. What you thought was fate was actually a setup. Men shouldn't laugh so easily either. Who knows? Maybe one day you'll get played by a female agent, too. Would you still find it funny then?
相亲市场上的骗子特别多。
Recently, many of my single sisters and I have reached a consensus. In the matchmaking market of first-tier cities, there are simply too many scammers, especially those who specifically target us, older single women. These scammers are truly emerging one after another. I have a sister who just got divorced, without any children, but in the process of seeking love again, she was deceived 5 or 6 times in a row. Each time, she gave her feelings in vain, and in the end, she was so heartbroken that she almost wanted to jump off a building. As for myself, I've been in Shenzhen for 5 years now, and I've also encountered quite a few scammers. These scammers all have one thing in common. Either they are extremely handsome, or they have very high emotional intelligence, speak very sweetly, and are especially good at making people happy. Many people might wonder, why do these scammers specifically target us, older leftover women? The reason is actually very realistic. Women around 40 years old like us, most of us have decent conditions, and some might even be considered quite attractive. Many of us were the school beauties or class beauties back then, and just because we had high standards or were too confident, we didn't get married early and ended up becoming so-called leftover women. But in reality, our personal conditions are still far above average. We wouldn't even lose in a beauty pageant. These scammers choose us also because they don't need to spend money, nor do they need to invest much effort. Just a few sweet words and several emotional advances can easily lure us into a romantic relationship. For them, this is a low-cost, high-return business. Moreover, in today's first-tier cities, the number of older leftover women is huge. Scammers even feel that we are in short supply. What's even more ironic is that these scammers themselves are often not single. Many already have girlfriends. Some are even married or preparing for marriage. The reason they're still out there fishing around is, at the root of it, their dissatisfaction with mundane life. They don't actually have much money, nor do they have the ability to really get divorced, so they can only seek excitement in this way to cover up their inner emptiness. So, what's the conclusion? All older sisters who are dating in first-tier cities must keep their eyes wide open. If a man is too handsome, has high emotional intelligence, and always knows how to make you happy, then you should be extra cautious. You must make him go through multiple tests, such as taking him for a physical examination, checking his credit report, visiting his family, and truly integrating into his life. Only when you confirm that he has no room to escape should you consider building a real romantic relationship with him. Otherwise, it's really easy to be deceived and to waste your emotions and time for nothing.
Why are most victims of pig butchering scams women, especially those with high education and high income? They seem to fall into the trap even more easily. Scammers often choose women as targets because women are more easily touched emotionally. Like aging single women eager to get married, lonely housewives, single mothers, or divorced women. These people often lack emotional support in their lives and have a stronger longing for care and love. So, when a successful, gentle, and considerate man appears, it easily hits the softest spot in their hearts. The pig butchering scam takes advantage of this emotional need and gradually weaves a sweet trap. Therefore, many women end up giving everything they have for so-called love, only to lose both their money and their hearts. But think carefully. Although these victims deserve sympathy for being deceived both financially and emotionally, what truly leads to all this is still their own greed and excessively high standards for men. They clearly know there's no such thing as a free lunch, but they still believe they're the lucky one, thinking they've really met a rich and handsome Prince Charming. The problem is we're your own conditions. You're no longer young. Your looks are average. Your personality is picky. You're realistic and sensitive. Yet you still fantasize about a wealthy, handsome man falling from the sky to love you, pamper you, spoil you, and even take you to get rich? Frankly speaking, you didn't get scammed. You were just too eager to dream. You thought you were falling in love, but he was just butchering the pig. You were desperately seeking true love, but he had already set his sights on your bank account. Wake up. Real rich and handsome men won't be deeply confessing their love to you on social media platforms, nor would they casually hand over money-making opportunities to a woman they've only known for a few weeks. What you encountered is not love. It's your own desire leading you by the nose. What scammers truly understand is an investment. It's a woman's vanity and emotional hunger. The scariest thing in this world isn't the scam, but the fact that you knew it was impossible, yet still jumped right in. In the end, your money is gone, your heart is broken, and you still try to console yourself by saying, I just met the wrong person. No, you just weren't sober enough. What do you think about aging single women being scammed? Feel free to leave your comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel for more similar content. See you in the next video.